This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
2020, guys, we've got August, September, October, November, and December, and then we're done. 2020 is done. We're kind of been on a holding pattern. We've had to deal with a pandemic. Some of your businesses are down 40, 50, 60%. Some of you have been at home for months on end. So everything's been kind of on hold. So what I want to talk about today is for the rest of the 2020, we're going to make it our bitch and we're going to get clear. It's time for you to get clear. Well, what does getting clear look like? It's making systems and it's goal setting. So I'm going to talk about those two things, and it's not going to be boring, guys. Trust me. Don't, I'm done. I don't. There's some things that you needed to accomplish in 2020 that you haven't done yet. And now, even if we operate as we are now, even if the stupid Democrats, Republicans, whatever it may be, keep us all this stuff going till November, who cares? Done with all that. Let's be done with all that. Let's look at it now and focus on ourselves and see what we can accomplish in this new dynamic, this new environment that we're in. Let's look at best case scenarios. Let's look at worst case scenarios. Are we on lockdown to November like this? Okay. What can I do? How can I get clear? How can I accomplish things? How you do it first, foremost, is this. When you look at success, when you look at setting goals, number one thing, Mark Manson talks about this. He's an author, and I love his books. He talks about this. What kind of pain do I want? What kind of pain do I want? Yeah, you want to be an Olympian and you want to win a gold medal, but are you willing to put the pain in on the training 2 or 3 times a day consistently for 4 years? Do you have the talents and the abilities, if you put that much training in there, to become an Olympian? We all want to achieve goals, but we don't understand the sacrifice. We don't get the real challenges that are before us. We don't see the results through that determination. And it's ugly. It's a nasty process to accomplish. There's a lot of grittiness. I think Angela Duckworth wrote a book on grittiness. I encourage you to get it. Grit, I think, is what it's called. You have to look at it. I'll put it in the show notes because you guys, I'm always throwing out books. Goal setting is not, and this is what he talks about. Goal setting is not only about choosing the rewards you want to enjoy, but also the cost you are willing to pay. And I want you guys to think if you're in a boat and your goals are like the rudder of the boat. They set the direction and it tells you exactly where you're going to go. If you commit to one goal, like I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I gained 20 pounds during COVID. I've been sitting around eating Doritos, smoking weed, double stuffed Oreos, and watching Netflix for 8 hours a day. And I need to do this. Okay. The oars, the rudder, here is in the right direction. The rudder is your goals, but how much work are you willing to row? Because the oars determine your project, your progress, and the rudder determines your direction. So we've got to make systems and goals. And he gets into this a little bit more, I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. A lot of this is Mark Manson and also James Clear. So James Clear, which is funny, his name James Clear, and then getting clear on goals. But you can go to jamesclear.com, and he's got a lot of resources on his website. But if you're a coach, your goal is to win a championship, right? So how are you going to put that in place? You have a team that you have to use. There's a team all around you that you have to get them at their highest level. You have to practice every day. There's systems that you have to put in place. Systems are different than goals. If you want to write a book, you have to have a writing schedule, and you have to do that daily, and you have to follow it each and every week. And it takes weeks and weeks and weeks on end to write the book. If you want to run a marathon, there's a training schedule that you need to follow where you don't get injured, and you got to look at that, and you're going to have to adjust and adapt. Goals can be adjustable and adapt, guys. Those goals you set in January, you can still adjust and adapt them to get it done by December. If you want to build a new website and you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to work from home, you've got to understand sales and marketing and how to build a website. These are all systems that have to be put in place, because systems, once you create the system, then you have the processes in place that steer you towards your goal. I believe in systems because systems allow you to get clear. The goal says what type of system should I put in place, but the system is what's going to cause you to work on autopilot. That's what achieves the results. The system does. Goals determine your direction. Systems determine your progress. But what a lot of people do is they will sit and hold the rudder when they actually need to let go of the rudder, let the rudder sit there, and they've got to row. You've got to put in the work, guys. August, September, October, November, December. It is that important. So how can you set goals that you'll actually follow? Well, first of all, you've got to ruthlessly eliminate any goal that you're not passionate about, that you're not set. You probably have 3 or 4 goals that you're thinking of right now. And I guarantee you 2 to 3 of them, you're not that passionate about. You need to eliminate those. Focus on the one goal that you're passionate about. That is the number one thing that you can do, because that passion, when it gets tough, when you want to quit rowing, that passion is what's going to bring you through the process because what it's called is commitment, self-discipline, commitment, and being able to operate in these systems day in and day out. So many people, the 75-day hard, and I ended up not taking my picture at 67 days and got really discouraged about it. I'm going to do it again. I'll probably wait till next year before I do it. But because I want to accomplish it, and they've got an app now, which can make it a little bit easier so you don't forget things. But it set me mentally where I needed to be for 2020. I needed it personally. I needed to not drink any alcohol for 75 days. I went over 75 days not drinking any alcohol. I needed to have a purpose every day, even though shit was going down like crazy. So I went outside. I wanted to get vitamin D. I wanted to be able to make sure that I was staying super healthy and my immune system was up. So I used the 75-day hard to be able to do that. And you need to find something that you want to do that motivates you, that it's huge, it's big. That's going to require at least 1 hour a day for you to accomplish it. If you already start thinking in your mind excuses, that's not the right goal that you need to do. You should be getting excited about it, not making excuses on it. That's not the goal that you need to focus on for 2020. And I kind of want to get, because I want this to be a quick process. I want to get into some of the things that you need to do. So how can you be clear and specific? Well, you need to break the goal down into steps. So you say, okay, I'm going to create this system. I'm going to run a marathon. Here's what I need to do. I'm going to start off, I'm going to run these many miles every week. I'm going to give myself this rest day. And I'm breaking it down into these steps. And I'm going to slowly increase. I'm going to read online, do lots of studying, find out what other people are doing. And then I'm going to reward myself every day, a small reward, and then I'm going to reward myself a big reward every week. And then if I accomplish it at the end of the month, I'm taking a day off and I'm going to do something for me. These are things that will motivate you guys. So you got to break the goal down into steps. You got to track your progress. You've got to be able to look at your improvements and say, look at me, I'm badass. Look what I did. There's lots of apps out there. There's so many apps out there that'll track your progress. They'll track habits. There's one even called Habits that you can do. There's a ton of apps out there. And then you need to acknowledge your weaknesses. If you have a setback, acknowledge it. Be self-aware enough to say, I goofed off this day. I should have done this and this. I'm not going to make up for it. I'm going to forgive myself for this day, but I'm going to move on the next day and accomplish this. If you prepare yourself in advance for what's going to happen when you fail one day, it will cause you to move forward. And then you need to be accountable. This is one I love. Listen to this. I heard this on a podcast, and I really love it. It's from a poker player, and so this is really interesting. You set the goal, and then an amount of money that actually hurts. So whatever that is for you, maybe it's $100, maybe it's $500, maybe it's $5,000. It needs to be a big amount. And then to hold yourself accountable, you're going to let all your friends know, 5, 10 people, that if you do not complete this goal, you're going to give to something that you absolutely hate. So let's say you're going to say, okay, I'm going to have this goal and I'm going to complete it by October or September. Well, maybe you hate Joe Biden. Maybe you hate Donald Trump. Well, I'm going to give $1,000 to the Donald Trump campaign or the Joe Biden campaign or whatever it may be. Maybe it's, maybe you love hunting, and so you give it to an anti-hunting group. Maybe you love, maybe you don't love hunting, and so you give it to the NRA. But you give it to an organization that you absolutely despise, and that will motivate you. Be accountable. Certain things that work with that is making a contract with that. If you have the money available, take the money, give it to somebody that you trust, and say, if I don't complete the goal, this money automatically goes to this campaign. And I want you to submit it to them and give me a receipt on it. And it's so painful, guys. You would absolutely hate to give that money to something that you're dead against. And then one of the biggest things that you need to do is make sure you have fun. We so forget this, especially now with everything that's going on. Enjoy the ride. Get to love the grittiness. Get to love the grind. Get to love that part, the process. We're so always thinking about trying to accomplish this, or I'll be happy when I accomplish this, or I just hope that I'll do this. And I'm going to make a podcast about that soon, about how we're always looking for something that we want, and then we're never happy in the process and in the moment of the things that we're doing. Learn to love the system. If you're operating in your passion, you should love doing it anyways. But so many of us do things out of guilt, fear, whatever it may be, and we don't even actually love doing it. But we only have one life, guy. You can't trade it in and get another body. I was watching Altered Carbon or something like that on Amazon, a show, and they could get rich people could get new bodies. They could just download into a whole new body, and they could pick, what type of body they wanted. You have got to understand that this year is not a waste. And I'm not going to let external things around me keep me from not being motivated. It's so valuable and important that you stay motivated, that you have a purpose and a mission. A lot of people that are not doing well with COVID are because they lost their purpose. They lost their mission. Maybe your business isn't doing that well. So it's time to get the team together and tell them, hey guys, what are we going to do? Get some takeout, lock yourself in a room, the big whiteboard, and plan, get clear, get everybody involved, have a mission, be successful. I was listening to Jocko Willink. You guys know I talk about him all the time with this podcast, and he was talking about people that get out of the military, and they had such a strong leadership, and they had such just a mission. And then they get out and they're like, hey, here's your DD-214. Here you go. You're out. Thank you for serving the country. And then, women and men are sitting there like, what am I to do next? You've got to find a mission and a purpose. It's got to be attainable. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be specific. The SMART goals, you can look that up. It needs to be relevant. It needs to be time bound. But make sure you put it in writing. And then how you stick with it is what's important. How much value you put into it will allow you to stick with it. You're wanting something to happen. That's what a goal is. I'm wanting this to happen to me. And if you're not clear on it, you won't accomplish it. But the good news is, if you put the systems in place, if you slowly make that slow grind progress, it can happen. You've accomplished goals before. You've experienced bad parts in your life that you've gotten over with and you've overcame. And you need to rely on those. and say, I did this in my life. I sure as hell can do this now. Because every single one of you that are listening to this, all of you are valuable. There's not one person that's not listening to this that's, I don't have that valuable of a life. Do you know the odds of you being born? They're like billions and billions of you just being born. And you have this one life to accomplish something great. And you can. You can accomplish greatness. What does greatness look like for you? Maybe it's starting a not-for-profit and going in the direction and helping people in third world countries. And, Jason, I work this job and I can't do that. Yes, you can. Slowly say, okay, I want to start a not-for-profit. Well, the first thing I can do is get a name, buy the name on GoDaddy. And then from there, I can slowly build a website at home. And then from there, I can network and make contacts with who I need to. And then I'm going to study and I'm going to work hard in understanding and knowing the region that I'm going to go to. And then when this all subsides, I'm going to make plans for travel and see what that looks like. Maybe at the end of 2021, and I'll take my vacation and I'm going to go there. And maybe I team up with another organization for my first time being there. See, you can accomplish anything, guys. Put the systems in place. Put the goals out there and start rowing. That's all that matters. Is that you're moving in the right direction. If that rudder's tilted far to the right or far to the left, and you're just rowing and rowing, all you're doing is going into circles. You've got to get clear, guys. I hope this helped you. Listen to this again. Get clear, get motivated, set those goals, set those systems in place, and get after it.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share and go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.